Look at the data. You're not looking at any data. You're carrying the water for the gun lobby. Look at the data. More guns lead to more deaths. States that have open carry laws have more deaths. States that have open carry laws have more deaths. Are you listening to what I'm saying? Calm down. Children are dying. 9-year-old children. Because the solution is not arming teachers. Have you ever worked in a school? 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 It's a yes or no question. Have you ever worked in a school? You will not answer my question. Don't stop and talk to me. Okay, I'll bring it down a notch.
All right, folks.
Have you ever worked in the school?
I've got a bill to repeal the federal.
I worked in the school for 20 years.
You're just screaming.
I was a teacher. I was screaming before you came and interrupted me. I worked in the school for 20 years. So I worked in the school 20 years.
In every school,
I was a teacher. I was a school counselor. I was a middle school principal. I was in cafeterias protecting kids every day of my career.
There's never been a shooting. Never been a shooting. It's time. Look, we've got guns here to protect us. And we believe the kids should have somebody to protect them. Every school that's allowed it has never had a shooting. Not even an accidental discharge at any of the schools. So.
All right, guys, so what you just saw there was race-hustling Democrat Jamaal Bowman absolutely losing his mind in a debate on the House floor with Representative Thomas Massie on gun control. Now, this guy who's extremely emotional, okay, he's also a simp, he's a part of the squad, and he's from a violent district in New York, in which, you know, is so violent that he demands his own special protection, is out here trying to advocate for taking away other people's guns while he has as many guns as possible surrounded by him because, you know, his life matters and everybody else's life doesn't matter, right? You protecting yourself, hey, you know, not that important, but him protecting himself, very important, okay? These people love guns when it comes to all of their armed security, okay? The only time I will ever take these people serious when it comes to a gun control debate is when they decide to disarm their security, okay? Stop paying for private security, okay? And walk around defenseless with no guns, okay? And then we will entertain a debate, right? I'm still not going to take your position, but at least I will take you seriously, okay? Same thing goes with Cori Bush. Her district, her city, St. Louis, is one of the most dangerous cities in the world. Not just the country, but in the world. I mean, parts of St. Louis are more dangerous than parts of, you know, countries like El Salvador or Ecuador or Honduras. Some of these, you know, very, very, very poverty-stricken and crime-ridden, gang-ridden places in South America. St. Louis is more dangerous than those places, right? In some cases. Again, so dangerous that she has to pay $500,000 a year in security. So dangerous that she married a security guard, right? That's how dangerous it is, okay? She's like, look, I gotta marry my security guy, okay? Also funnel campaign funds to him as well, too, and ultimately back to herself. But, you know, again, that's just, you know, here nor there. That's just a grift, whatever. But, again, these people clearly are not living by the things that they say, okay? They're trying to advocate for everybody else to lose their rights, while at the same time, they get special privileges of, again, having armed security. Again, somebody make it make sense to me. How can these same people who say that the solution to protect children is taking away everybody's guns, banning guns, because that's actually what they really want, but the solution to protect them, right? The solution to protect them is more guns, right? They want more guns around them. Look what happened after January 6th. You know what they did to protect themselves? They went and got more guns, right? They didn't say, hey, to protect ourselves, we need less guns. They said, no, we actually need more guns, a lot more guns. So why won't you protect America's children with more guns, aka more armed security, the same way you protect yourselves or the same way you're trying to protect Ukraine? Again, I made this argument before. If we got billions of dollars to send to Ukraine, why don't we got billions of dollars to make sure every school in this country is armed to the teeth? It's protected to the teeth to make sure our children are protected. If you care about kids so much. Again, these Democrats care about their lives and the lives of Ukrainians more than they care about the lives of actual American citizens and children that they're pretending that they care about only for political gain, right? We're going to talk a little bit more about that. But first, we got to talk about just how silly it is that the Democrats want to have this conversation about guns when they really don't know enough about the topic or the subject to even have a conversation about it. For example, I want you guys to watch this exchange between the great Senator John Kennedy and Biden's director of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, which clearly shows that Alejandro Mayorkas, who is basically pro-banning guns, knows nothing about what he's trying to ban. Take a look.
Mr. Secretary, yesterday you testified in judiciary that you support an assault weapon ban, and we didn't have much time to talk about that. Tell me your definition once more of an assault weapon.
Senator, we did indeed have a brief exchange on that very important subject. I am not an expert with respect to the definition of the assault bans, and so I defer.
You are the Secretary of Homeland Security.
As I was about to say, I defer to the experts. I defer to, for example, the definition of an assault weapon that was codified in the prior iteration of the legislation that was passed and that was in operation when I served as an assistant United States attorney and the United States attorney in the Central District of California.
So you would support the prior definition under?
Senator, I must defer to the experts with respect to the definition. But I will tell you, for example, military-style weapons are of tremendous concern. We are seeing too much devastation.
How do you define? But I mean, you personally think we should ban assault weapons, and I know you to be an intelligent man and a thinking person, so I know you've thought about it. What is it about a military? What do you mean by a military-style weapon?
Senator, I really must say that you are probing a very, very important area, definitionally, in which I do not have the requisite expertise. With all the mass killings in the United States, and why are these assault weapons disseminated so broadly? I say that we need legislation to ban.
Let me follow up on that. So you support an assault weapon ban, but you don't have a definition. Is that right?
Senator, I think that you understand where I stand.
No, I don't. I don't. You made a very bold statement, very firmly saying we should ban all assault weapons. And all I'm asking is what, in your mind, is an assault weapon? I mean, you say it's military style. Does that mean it looks like a military weapon?
Senator, I believe I've addressed your question.
I mean, what if it's a single-shot .22 that looks like a military weapon? Would you ban that because it's scary looking to you?
Senator, I think I've addressed your question to the best of my abilities.
But you haven't. I mean, I'm trying to understand. You're Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, and as is your right, as an American, you believe we should ban assault weapons. But it bothers me you can't tell me what you would ban.
Senator, I would be very pleased to speak with experts and confer with you subsequent to today's hearing and share with you a proposed definition that could be inserted into the legislation that is so desperately needed.
You said you want to oppose all assault weapons, but you don't know what they are. Can you give me an example?
Senator, I think I gave you an example yesterday, so I'm not exactly sure why you're posing
Which
the
one?
question.
Refresh my memory of the example.
I believe I said an AK-47.
Well, what is it about an AK-47 that you find to be objectionable? Is it the fact that it has a magazine?
Senator.
Do you know what a magazine is?
Senator.
But first, do you know what a magazine is, Mr. Secretary?
Yes, I do. And Senator, what I've come to do is testify to this committee and not take an examination with respect to questions that I've already answered to the best of my ability. And so I think it is self-evident why an AK-47 should be banned, as just one example. But I look forward to conferring with you.
Except you can't explain what one is.
Legislative reform. I hear, too, from businesses all across the country, the need for additional labor. Thank you. Excuse me.
Yeah, so clearly this guy is one of those guys that, like Jamaal Bowman, okay, he claims he wants to ban these, scary assault weapons, right? But he would be more than happy to have them around him for his own security. Okay, be more than happy to, because he seems a little scared, right? He was scared of a little tap on the shoulder, okay, from Mr. Senator Kennedy, who was quite literally just embarrassing this man, okay? He knew that this guy knew absolutely nothing in regards to what he was talking about, but he wants to ban it. He wants to ban something he don't know what he's talking about, okay? First and foremost, the Democrat fear-mongering over rifles is just, it's ridiculous. It's just laughable because, again, there's just so much ignorance. The fact they call it assault rifles, which is, again, the wrong terminology, okay? They're referring to sporting rifles. But the reason why they're opposed to these sporting rifles is not grounded in any facts and statistics, right? Because, first and foremost, when we talk about the gun violence problem in the United States, half of it is suicide, right? Half of it is people killing themselves. I'm not sure banning guns is going to stop people from trying to kill themselves. And then the other half of it is criminals. Democrats don't really want to lock up the criminals, though, right? They don't want to lock up the criminals, which means they really don't want to do anything about the actual violence problem, right? The actual problem, which is people getting killed, okay? People still going to get killed. They'll just do it with other things, like, for example, knives and cutting instruments, other weapons, and their hands and fists, which comprise more deaths in this country than rifles, right? Rifles are only 2.6% of the gun deaths in this country. 2.6% versus 10.6% for knives, 11.4% for other weapons like blunt objects, poison, explosives, fire, narcotics, and 4.3% for hands, fists, and feet. So yeah, I want you guys to understand. Your hands, fists, and feet, somebody's much more likely, almost twice as likely, to be killed by hands, fists, and feet than they are about rifles, but Democrats aren't talking about banning that, right? There's no talk about banning your hands, fists, and feet, but they want to ban assault military-style weapons that nobody really has, by the way, okay? I mean, some people do, but it's extremely hard to get an actual, real assault weapon, okay? Because by definition, they would be fully automatic, which, again, regular citizens, I'm not saying all citizens, but in most cases, it's extremely hard to get, okay? Already basically illegal. But, again, Democrats, because they know that their base is ignorant, this is how they survive off of ignorance, right? People not knowing anything. They fearmonger about these scary-looking military weapons, okay, that really don't contribute that much at all to the gun violence in this country. But all of this fear-mongering about guns really is a distraction from the real issue here that they don't want to address about the Nashville, Tennessee mass shooting, which is the fact that Christians were killed by a radicalized transgender individual. They don't want to talk about that. In every other mass shooting, they want to talk about identity. Identity matters when it fits the narrative. When it's a straight white male who may have some connection to white supremacy, identity matters more than anything. They much rather have that conversation than the actual gun control conversation. But when the identity doesn't fit the narrative, now they're so passionate about guns, right? We want to ban guns. When, again, most of the gun violence in this country has been done by criminals that they don't want to lock up. They don't want to put them in jail because it's racist. Again, you can take away their guns, but they're going to get them illegally. And then guess what? They're going to terrorize law-abiding citizens. You're still going to have people getting murdered. You're still going to have people losing their lives. It just won't be by gun. And in some cases, again, it might be even more gruesome. Okay? Could be even more gruesome. Could be a much slower death. I think getting beat to death is probably worse than, just taking one to the dome. So, again, these people, they're not serious people. They're emotional. They're trying to play on people's heartstrings. But again, they don't want to talk about the real issue in regards to why was this transgender individual radicalized? Well, we know why they were radicalized. They were radicalized because of rhetoric from the left and the mainstream liberal media with these lies that they're pushing about how transgender people are under some type of existential threat from the GOP and religious people. Democrats have blood in their hands, and they want to avoid actually addressing it at all costs by screaming and shouting at the rooftops about gun control. We need to ban guns. Banning guns that contribute very little to the actual problem in this country when we're talking about guns, right? Again, these are not serious people. They don't know what they're talking about, right? They're ignorant on the topic. And they're being extremely emotional to avoid taking accountability and responsibility for the fact that they have radicalized people in this country. They are responsible for all the domestic terrorism, a vast majority of domestic terrorism in this country, especially since the BLM protests. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to have that conversation. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.